are now being told by legislation, you cannot do it because we believe in women's liberation. And women's liberation means that the state is going to tell you how you should dress. Ooh, I don't know. That sounds like Orwellian logic to me. Like, that Animal Farm kind of nonsense. I don't know, man. I don't know. So when we are talking about democracy, let's define democracy. I mean, I lived in Saudi Arabia, which is clearly not a democracy, where the religious police used to go around smacking you on your legs and arms if they were bare. But they never insulted my intelligence by saying it was for your own liberation. Like, I knew who they were and what they were doing. I thought they were jackasses and they were doing the wrong thing, and I still do. But I resent the fact, I totally resent the fact that as a feminist and a woman, I am being told in Quebec it is in my best interest. That's an insult to my intelligence. That's an insult to my notions of liberalism and democracy and feminism. That I think is a problem. I mean, how can my daughter learn democracy when this is happening? When I told her this, I'm like, do you realize that in Quebec you cannot wear a niqab and if you do, you can't go access education, you can't go to school, you can't go to a healthcare, a clinic? And she turned around and she's like, but don't we have a charter or something? I'm like, yeah, it's something. That's the problem. I mean, people are not stupid, man. None of, us immigrants and refugees, we know a thing or two about democracy. And we don't think this is very democratic. And for Harper and Ignatieff to support that man, and then you want us to vote for which party? Excuse me? The one that's sleeping called NDP, or the one that's actually participating in oppressing women for their own benefit? Of course, the big brother. I mean, tell me, what should I tell my Muslim Canadians? Tell me, what should I say to them? How should I encourage them to participate in political process in Canada? Please explain. Bit difficult, no? I would have thought so. I'm finding it difficult.
You can organize around Islamophobia.
Well, we have created a campaign. You can check it on the website. It's called Say No to Bill 94 campaign. We've done a few teach-ins, we've written blogs, we've written articles, we've made policy submissions, and we are making a submission to the Quebec Parliament. But really, I mean, this is pathetic. This is just pathetic. And this is happening more and more. I mean, the changes that are being made to Immigrant and Refugee Protection Act, where our Refugee Protection Act is actually turning into Refugee Deportation Act, we should be concerned. I think we should be concerned. How can we possibly expect immigrants and refugees to participate when our laws are becoming more draconian? And this is being legislated by law. This is not just some, Joe Schmo venting somewhere. This is our government making policies. I think we should be concerned.
So, I guess in your opinion, after discussing all of that, and I agree with a lot of it, but I guess my question then is, like, for a group like ours, right, where the Canadians, advocate political participation, right? We're trying to get more involvement, trying to get more diversity into our group, being able to address some of these issues. How do you propose that a group like us, or activist groups in general, should be able to do stuff like that?
I think what I'm suggesting to you is that rather than looking at political participation as lack of participation, I think you should also look at it at institutions as being inaccessible to participation. I guess the gist of what I'm saying is that it's a twofold exercise. As activists, you cannot just go and say to immigrants, you got to participate in this way or that way or that way. But what you've got to do is create political force, put pressure on public policy and public institutions to make themselves more relevant so that people can participate. People will participate without having to be, encouraged or cajoled or, enticed or bribed, which always works. In Pakistan, 100% voter turnout. You just load them all up in a truck and give them $10 each. Goes a long way, man. But really, don't think that what happens in Pakistan is that unusual. It happens here too. People do get loaded up onto buses and get taken to, polling booths.
She lives in North America, we use SUVs.
Yeah, well, okay, SUVs. I apologize. Yeah, much better form of transportation. And people do get bribed, not by $10. We go for much higher a lot than that. But that's politics. I mean, democracy functions like that. But nevertheless, I think what you have to do if you want to make participation a more, if you want to encourage greater participation, is to actually make that sweetener more diverse too. Right now, the sweetener that is being offered and the political process that exists is very limited. And all I'm suggesting is that you need to change public policy. Like, for instance, if tomorrow you were to come out and say that the changes to immigration and refugee, that tomorrow you were to come out and say, let's declare Toronto a sanctuary for non-status people. Right now, non-status people cannot access a lot of the public services, right? Tomorrow you want to do a campaign on the eve of municipal election and say, let's declare Toronto a sanctuary city for non-status people. You don't want to give them an amnesty, you don't want to give them status, let's declare a sanctuary. Let people who are sick have access to medical care even if they don't have status. Let kids go to school even if their parents don't have status and a permanent residence. Right? Let people go access food banks if they don't have status, but that's because they're poor and they don't have access to food. Like, to me, that would encourage a lot of people to come out and say, yes, that's a platform on which I can ride. And if that platform, if some political leader has the if some political leader has the backbone, if some political candidate has the backbone to actually bring that into, into the public discourse, wouldn't that be, you wouldn't have to encourage participation. Participation will happen because a lot of people get affected by that. See, right now we are talking about things that majority of the people in the city, either it's not their issue, or it doesn't impact them in a positive way, or they don't have franchise, so they can't even vote, so they couldn't participate in that particular process, but they can participate in some other process. So I think, I think that's what I'm trying to say, that it works both ways. It doesn't work one way alone. Yes, sir.
Hi. I just wanted to thank you for coming, also.
Thank you.
But I kind of have I'm going to actually kind of direct this at the crowd here. Canadians Advocating Political Participation is this group that kind of joined, and it's nonpartisan. I know a lot of you guys, probably being grade 11 and whatnot, might find politics to be pretty boring, because they're just a bunch of white guys on TV who are old and they talk about stuff that's just uninteresting when, there's so much cooler stuff to talk about, like the city on, MTV or something. Because reality TV like that is interesting. But what I was going to say is that when I kind of got into politics, I had just kind of stopped being a pothead, and I decided that I was going to start, I just started getting interested in the news and whatnot. And I started to see the news as kind of like the world's longest running reality TV show. And I, kind of got interested. And I didn't know where to really start or what party or anything like this. But subsequently, a few years down the line, here I am. And I'm with